This is Riverside Park, and we're on the banks of the Susquehanna here. Riverside Park runs for about 3 miles or 5 kilometers up the Susquehanna banks. We're on the east side of the river here. You hear people talk about east side and west side. Yes, we're totally gangster here in Harrisburg, and right here is probably one of the most famous structures in all of the burg. This is Walnut Street Bridge, aka the People's Bridge, aka Old Shaky. See? Right there. It is a historic engineering landmark. This used to be one of the main highway bridges across Harrisburg, across the Susquehanna River. The reason they called it Old Shaky is, you can see, it's actually a metal grate roadbed, and that is the river you see flowing below us. And if you were of a certain age, like me, you'll remember driving across several bridges like this. And what happens is the road pulls the tires of your car back and forth like this, because as you can probably make out, they're not laid perfectly straight. And you end up feeling the car jerking back and forth, aka Old Shaky. This was a 2-lane highway. So you had one traffic going that way, and you had another lane of traffic coming the other way. And you can imagine it was probably kind of terrifying to drive this. But, you know, back in the 70s, back in the 60s, back in the 50s, we didn't give a shit. Sorry about that, but this was actually, up to a certain point, a toll bridge. You actually had to pay for the privilege of driving across this highway. Yes. The Susquehanna is, reality-wise, one of the oldest rivers, not only in North America, but in the world. It's actually, depending on who you talk to, who you can get to pin the geography down, it is between 280 and 320 million years old, which means, in reality, it's actually older than the mountains in the background there. There are 2 other rivers, one in West Virginia, the New Gorge River, and another one in Tennessee and North Carolina, that are about the same age. And that makes the Susquehanna either also the 3rd or the 5th oldest river in the world. There are only 2 other rivers that are older than this. The 2nd oldest is in Europe. The 3rd oldest, first oldest, is in Australia. But of course, now they used this bridge up until about 1972, and what ended up happening is Hurricane Agnes came through, and Hurricane Agnes turned into Tropical Storm Agnes and hit Susquehanna with a lot of rain, and Harrisburg was flooded. And how high was the floodwaters? Well, you can see where the waters of the Susquehanna are now. And you see where the top of the guardrail is. The water was actually up over that guardrail. It was 3 feet up over the roadbed. So there's the roadbed, and the floodwater was about right there. You know, it was not a good situation. If you know anything about floods, you'll know that there's not just water in the river, but there's all sorts of junk slamming into the bridge as well. And what ended up happening was it damaged the structure. So they closed it to traffic and then turned it into a pedestrian bridge. And at one point you could walk all the way across the river, that's City Island there, and you could walk all the way across to the other side of the river. Except in 1987 we had an ice storm here, and on the other side of the island, 3 of the trestles here came down in the ice storm. Ice just slammed up against the bridge. There's, looking south, all of our bridges. We have a lot of bridges, and believe it or not, once you get out of the Harrisburg area, you are spending a lot of time looking for bridges. There's a bridge to the north. Once you get past I-81, there's a railroad bridge, and then about 20 miles up the river, there's a highway bridge. And you don't run into another bridge for about 60 miles. There is a ferry crossing, but that's it. And to the south, once you get past the Pennsylvania Turnpike, there's a bridge about 30 miles to the south of us, and that's actually US 30. And then I don't think there's another bridge for about 30 or 40 miles beyond that. So there's not a lot of places to cross the Susquehanna, as you can probably gather. It's actually very wide. You can see that. So there you are, Old Shaky. And in actuality, I'm only, again, a few blocks from my apartment. And as you can see, the sun is coming up, which means we've seen just about all my neighborhood. There's not a lot here to see. This is where I live. I don't know if I want to call it my neighborhood, because as I am a independent contractor, I'm only working here as long as they want me. And if next year they decide they don't want me, then I have to go look for another job. And my neighborhood could end up becoming my old one back in Indiana, or it could be someplace else. Or I could find another job here. Because all in all, as bad as some people have told me that Harrisburg is, I don't find it all that horrible a place. It's nice. It's fairly quiet. Unless, of course, you're not used to living in a city environment, in which case all the sound and the noise and the fury and everything else probably drives you a little crazy. But the reality is, there's the moon, high moon. There you go. The reality is, this is my first time living in an urban environment. I don't really count Indianapolis as an urban environment. I count it more as like another cesspool that I had to exist in Indiana. And hated it. I hated it with a passion. So, this for now. There's Old Shaky. Say hi. This for now is my neighborhood. And in a way, I'll always remember this, because this is where Cassidy first lived. Like it or not, this is where I became me. So Harrisburg's always going to have a little bit of specialty in my heart. like it or not, this is where I started a new life. And I could think of worse places to do that. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed taking an early morning stroll with me. Funny thing is, I never really got more than 4 blocks from home. And look, we have a visitor. Yes. Don't drive angry. Don't drive angry. Where else are you going to see that, huh? There you go. Enjoy the view. I'm going to head home and get something to eat. And I'll see you on the flip. Take care, and I hope you enjoyed my neighborhood. Bye.